Howdy, welcome back to Dion Talk. The video that you're about to see is one that I recorded about a month, maybe 2 months before I retired. When I recorded this video, I was trying to share with my viewers how much money my portfolio produced. At the time that I recorded this, and this is the reason why I want to share this video again, I actually had no intention of retiring in the next 5 or 10 years. But after recording this video and seeing the money that I was making and looking at the math of time on how my money was coming in, I actually felt kind of stupid going to work. Pretty soon I'm going to make another video that talks about the cash flow that my portfolio is producing now that it's been about a year since I've retired and I no longer have a W-2. But I want you to understand that this video is probably why I ended up retiring. Enjoy. Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. This is going to be a nice short live done on my phone where I won't take the time to answer questions during the live. But after the live, I will answer questions in the comments below. If you want questions answered live, on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, I do a live stream that lasts as long as the questions do. In this video, I'm going to do a version of Whiteboard Sunday. Normally, when we talk about financial freedom and retiring early, there's a way to run the numbers. And if you ask the average person on the street, how much money do you think you would need to retire early? Most people will say a number. They'll say, I need $1 million or $5 million or $50,000, whatever their number is. If you're not in the financial space, that's what most people think. We need a certain amount of money in order to be able to retire early. And we get this because a lot of firms that run the math, when you have a financial advisor, they're going to tell you you need this much money in retirement to retire based on the way that you invest. So people get the idea that it's an amount. But if you're in the financial world, like most of the people that watch my content, you know that financial freedom comes from having passive income come in every month, money that you don't have to sell your life for 1 hour at a time, that is more than it costs you to live. And when we figure out how much it costs us to live, we're looking at a freedom number. And for most of us, and this is the way that I've explained financial freedom in several videos on my channel, and there's a lot of other people who actually, that I watch, that explain it the same way. Today we're going to look at it a different way, and I'm probably going to butcher it, so please bear with me because it's some mental exercises that I've played with myself, so my thought is there might be other people who've also played with this. Financial freedom is figuring out your freedom number. And for most of us, that is looking at the last 6 months, looking at your bank statements, credit card statements, everything that you've processed a payment on, and figuring out how much life has cost you to live the version of life that you have now. And then we think, that's my freedom number. I need that amount of money coming in. So it's not based on how much you make, it's what you spend. And when your income from sources other than your job is greater than that, you are financially independent. The retire early part is a little bit of a twist. For me, I think we need multiples of our freedom number to actually quit our job with confidence that you can handle something like, probably never see one in my life, but a pandemic or a stock market crash or a prolonged government shutdown, or if you have a medical health condition that costs a lot of money. That's why I think multiples of your freedom number is when you can retire early. When you're financially free and your passive income coming in is more than what it costs you to live, it's okay at that point for most of us to change jobs, to get out of a job we don't like, to find a job that we actually enjoy, and then keep working on growing our passive income. For me, there is another way of looking at it. To do this, I want to use the whiteboard. What I want to do today, instead of looking at what I've spent and what I think I'm going to need in retirement, is I want to look at what does an average person in the United States make? And I'll probably butcher some of this math. And if you're left-handed, you understand like I do, that left-handed people can't write on a whiteboard very well, so please bear with me. The average family in the United States in 2021 earned $79,900. So that was the average income for a family in the United States. There are people who make a lot more. There are people who make less. If we look at a 40-hour work week, if you've ever worked in payroll, you understand the number of hours in a year. If you work a 40-hour week, which is something they decided to do in the United States that I think is stupid, 52 weeks out of the year, that is 2,080 hours. So at 2,080 hours, if we divide 79.9 by that, that means the average family, we're figuring 2 incomes, for a family income would be $38.40 together. So each person is making $19.20 on a 40-hour work week. So this is selling your life 1 hour at a time to get to the average income. There is another way to look at it. There are, and I'm going to round up a little, 8,766 hours in a year. So if we look at this average income spread out over the whole year, the family is making $9.11 an hour every single hour of the day. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is what math looks like for an average family. And some people will think, and I agree, this is not a lot of money. This sucks. There are people making a lot more. Hopefully some of the people watching this channel. But I've made a lot less. There were tons of years in my life where I didn't even break the $40,000 income. And I started as a single parent with 3 kids. And when I first started my financial journey, I was 40. I had been laid off from a police department. I went and got a driving job and doubled my income. And I was making about $115,000 a year. That company went on strike and I ended up finding a job here at this truck driving school, starting at $17 an hour. So I was significantly less than this, and single though. So this is a dual income family. The single person, I guess if I was making 40, I was close to average. If the average family can exist on this, can survive, has a house, has healthcare, has streaming services, can take a vacation, probably not very often, but can take a vacation, what does it take or what does it look like for me to retire? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share some very specific numbers on what my portfolio looks like. A lot of times we hear people talk about 100 units or I want 1,000 units. For me, what I want is cash flow from each unit. Right now, I have 16 rental units. Financial independence happened when I had 7 units. So it doesn't take hundreds of units or dozens of units. At 7, I was financially independent. I was not ready to retire. Currently, I've been investing a little over 10 years now. So this took about 8 years to get to these numbers. The last 2 years, it's actually grown more. It helps to have the binder strategy, which is a strategy I have that helps me get tenants to request a rent increase. So owning rental properties, but being able to get my tenants to request a rent increase makes it a lot easier to retire early. I right now have cash flow each month of $14,000. It's a little more, it's like $14,130 or something, but it's a little over $14,000. So $14,000, and still left-handed people can't write up there. So that's a $14,000. That is $168,000 a year if I don't get out of bed. I actually still have a W-2, so I'm making that money. I make a little bit of money from YouTube. I have some affiliate marketing things like with Amazon. I make money with a side hustle being an expert witness for court cases. But those are all just side hustles. And I'm talking just passive income from rental properties. And if you're wondering how I get that much cash flow, $14,000 a month out of just 16 units, I have a video on my channel called Why So Much Cash Flow, where I break down how I've increased the cash flow over the years. It didn't look like that in the first 5 years. It didn't really look like that till the year 8 or 9. The income started to greatly increase per unit. I've never done a cash out refi. I've never done a HELOC. I've never sold a property to recycle capital. I'm focusing on growing cash flow on my rental properties. So at $168,000 a year, if we look at a 40-hour work week, my income, and this would be 52 weeks out of the year, holidays, we're counting like if you worked a holiday, everything, $80.76 an hour would be my hourly income from passive income if I had a 40-hour a week job. Since I don't, and since we're looking at how much am I making with 16 rental properties, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, which is 8,766 hours, my income every hour, whether I'm awake or asleep, $19.16 per hour if I never get out of bed. So the way I'm looking at this is if a family of 4 is working to make basically $80,000 a year, they're making $38 an hour working. I'm making $80 an hour not working. This took 10 years to get to this point as a single person with one income. Every hour of the day, my rental properties, I call this horizontal money. The money keeps coming in even if I'm laying down. With this amount of money, can I afford to retire? Because a lot of us have this fear in our mind of as we are looking at retirement, we think our cost is going to go up. There's one time when our cost increases when we go to retire, and that's with healthcare. When you're working, usually your employer pays a portion of your health care. You know, at our company, we have 60 staff. Most of the employees are paying somewhere between $50 and $150 a month for healthcare. The employer, not me, the company, is paying somewhere between $800 and $1,600 a month. So there is more expense to having healthcare if you're not working. So I have a video on my channel called An Asset for Every Expense. You need a place to live, have an asset, pay for it. You need transportation, have an asset, pay for it. You need to eat, have an asset, pay for it. You need health care, have an asset, pay for it. You're going to have an asset for every expense. That is the one thing I think that actually might go up a little bit when we retire. But while we're working, that is W-2 income. This $79,900 is taxed at the highest tax rate that the government allows. I mean, it is incremental. The more money you make, the more taxes you're going to pay on that higher bracket of money. But this is going to be taxed. This $168,000 in income is going to be taxed $0. In 10 years, I've never paid a penny in rental income tax because of something like write-offs, but this beautiful word called depreciation. Every year my properties have gone up in value, I get to tell the government that my buildings are a year older and they've lost part of their value. So that is used as a write-off against that income. So this is taxed, that the earned income is the highest taxed thing that we have. Corporate tax, passive income tax is less. Things that we can use depreciation against are often taxed at 0, which if you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, that's a good reason of why we want to move from the employee or self-employed over to the business or investor quadrant where we often pay no tax. So taxes are going to go down. While we're working, you're also saving for retirement. When I quit my job and this is my income, and I take out all the side hustles, even if I just stopped doing all of those and that was the only thing I had, over years, rents go up. Mortgages, for the most part, stay the same as long as you're getting 30-year or 40-year fixed rate debt. No adjustable rate mortgages, no balloon payments, no loan reevaluation periods, nothing that can trip me up in 5, 7, or 10 years. Just mortgages that I get, and I really don't think about, except I watch interest rates in case they dip significantly lower than what my interest rate is, like they did in 2020. And I refinanced about half my portfolio to 3% loans from 5.5 and 6%, greatly increasing my cash flow. Healthcare is a little bit more, once you start retiring, you have an asset, pay for it. Most of us think as we get older, we could have health concerns. As you get older, you're going to have Medicare as an option. This doesn't count Social Security. I call it so-so security because it might be there. There are people being born now who it might not be there for, and it might take a government bailout to make the Social Security system continue to be a thing. But that's not even included in my ability to retire. So the purpose of this was to give you just a little mental exercise of how a family is working for money. How much are you making per hour with your passive income? And if you can grow your hourly income from passive income to multiples of what somebody is earning by having to work, then there's a couple of things you need to decide. The first thing when it comes to retiring is, do you want to? The second thing is, can you afford to? Let me know in the comments below after the video, do you think I can afford to retire? Because at some point in my future, I am probably going to want to go on a date, which is going to take significantly more money than I've been spending recently. So someday I'm going to go on a date. But not today. The third thing, and I take this from a content creator here on YouTube who has his own channel, and I think you should check it out. His name is Joe Kuhn, K-U-H-N. He retired at 54 and has been retired for 3 years now. So he's 57, been retired for 3 years. And one of the things that he talks about that I've really taken to heart is retire to something, not from something. If you quit your day job, a lot of us have the idea that we can just lay on a beach and drink Mai Tais forever. How many months into that would you start to feel like you lacked purpose, like you were bored? And a lot of people, even though they don't financially have to, end up having to go back to the workplace for sanity, not just for the income. I don't want to be that person. So what are you retiring to? I really want to thank everybody on a Sunday. Happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. In my family, we call this Happy You Should Have Used Protection Day, which is probably part of the reason most of our kids like me grow up with a complex. But happy Father's Day. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk. And before I wrap up, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, who doesn't actually sponsor the video, but Skull Vodka does make the video possible.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.